Welcome to our deep dive. Today, we'll be exploring power dynamics. We're using Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power
Yeah.
as our guide.
Yeah.
Now, it is a dense read, so we're here to pull out some of those key insights.
Like a cheat sheet to understanding how to kind of move up in the world.
Yeah, exactly. For success, influence, and navigating those, tricky social situations.
Exactly.
Let's jump right into Law 1. Never outshine the master.
Okay.
Imagine you're in a team meeting and a colleague presents a killer idea. Innovative, exciting, but there's one problem. It completely overshadows your boss's current project.
Uh-oh.
What do? Tricky situation.
It is, and this is where power dynamics comes in. And this scenario, believe it or not, has parallels with a party in 17th century France.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
All right, so Nicolas Fouquet, this is finance minister to King Louis XIV,
Okay.
threw a party so extravagant it made even the Sun King himself feel a little dim. We're talking gardens, fountains flowing with wine, the best entertainers, the
Right.
works.
Sounds like my kind of party, but I bet Louis XIV wasn't thrilled.
You would be right. Louis, known for his love of grandeur, felt completely outshone. Fouquet's display of wealth and extravagance was seen as a challenge to the king's authority.
So what did Louis do? Send Fouquet a strongly worded memo about appropriate party etiquette.
Well, he took it a bit further than that. He had Fouquet arrested and imprisoned,
Oh, wow.
essentially ending his career.
Okay.
And what's interesting is who Louis chose to replace him, Colbert, a man known for his frugality and, well, rather boring parties.
Okay, talk about making a statement. So the lesson here goes beyond just party planning, right?
Absolutely. It illustrates a fundamental principle of power dynamics. Those in power are inherently sensitive
Really?
to anything that threatens their position, even if it's unintentional.
Okay, so back to our meeting scenario.
Yes.
The colleague with the brilliant idea might be inadvertently setting themselves up for a Fouquet-style downfall.
Exactly. While we might not face imprisonment these days, the principle remains the same. Outshining the boss, even with good intentions, can trigger insecurity and ultimately backfire. So instead of trying to outshine, consider how you can subtly elevate your boss.
So it's not about dimming your own light.
Exactly.
It's about strategically positioning yourself
Yeah.
so that everyone benefits, especially the person in charge.
Exactly.
It's a delicate dance, isn't it?
It is. Think of it as mastering the art of subtle influence.
Okay.
Instead of directly challenging your boss's project, maybe you suggest ways to incorporate your idea into their existing framework, giving them credit
Oh, okay.
for the expanded vision.
So playing the long game,
Mm.
understanding those power dynamics at play and navigating those relationships in a way that benefits everyone involved.
That's the essence of it. And remember, sometimes the subtlest moves are the most powerful.
Okay, Law 2. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. This one sounds a bit counterintuitive. Aren't friendships built on trust?
They are, and I'm not suggesting you view all your friends with suspicion. But when power dynamics enter the equation, things get a little more complex. This law highlights that in the realm of power, former enemies can sometimes be more reliable than friends because they have more to prove.
Okay, so I'm starting to see how the 48 Laws of Power encourages us to think a little differently.
Yeah.
Why would a former enemy be more trustworthy than a friend?
Well, let's look at the Byzantine Emperor Michael III. He appointed his best friend, Basilius,
Okay.
as his chief advisor, despite Basilius having zero experience in government. Essentially, he was head of the royal stables.
Wait, so the emperor's right-hand man was basically a horse whisperer.
It does sound a bit odd, doesn't it? But Michael, valuing their friendship above all else,
Yeah.
promoted Basilius to a position of immense power.
Okay.
Unfortunately, this backfired spectacularly.
Oh, no. I'm guessing the lack of experience didn't help.
It did not.
Yeah.
Basilius, overwhelmed by his newfound power, became reckless, overconfident, and ultimately conspired to murder Michael. Oh, wow.
And seized the throne for himself.
That's a pretty extreme example of a friendship gone bad.
It is, but it illustrates the inherent risk in placing blind trust. Even in our closest friends, especially when power dynamics are at play, friends might feel a sense of entitlement
Right.
or take your loyalty for granted, leading to carelessness or even betrayal.
Okay.
So the using enemies part comes in. We're not talking about literally hiring your rival.
Right.
It's about recognizing that former enemies, because they have something to prove, might be more motivated to demonstrate their loyalty and competence. They've often learned from past conflicts and are eager to show their value.
So a bit of healthy competition or even tension can sometimes be beneficial, especially in a team setting. It's almost like that energy can be channeled into something productive.
Exactly. Think of it as harnessing the energy of that past conflict to fuel creativity and drive. Imagine a team with diverse perspectives, even those that were once at odds. They can challenge assumptions, push boundaries, and come up with truly innovative solutions. Okay, so it's less about literally befriending your enemies, and more about recognizing that sometimes those who were once rivals can bring unique strengths and perspectives to the table.
Precisely. It's about being open to unlikely alliances, understanding that power dynamics can shift and evolve in very unexpected ways.
All right, that's law two. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. It's not about being paranoid or distrustful, but about recognizing the complexities of human relationships, especially in the context of power.
It's fascinating how a shift in perspective can really reveal these opportunities where we might have seen only obstacles. And that leads us perfectly into Law 3,
Okay.
which is all about deception and smokescreens.
This is where things get a little morally ambiguous, right? Are we talking about lying and cheating our way to the top?
Not necessarily. Remember, the 48 Laws of Power is more about observation than endorsement.
Okay.
Greene is highlighting how deception has been used throughout history. Not saying it's always the best approach.
Okay, so how should we think about deception in the context of power dynamics?
Think of it as strategic concealment. It's not about blatant lies. Those are too easily exposed. It's about using subtle techniques to create a misleading impression, to make your opponent underestimate you or misjudge your intentions.
So it's like a poker face for power plays.
Exactly. A bland, familiar facade can be incredibly effective. It lulls your opponent into a false sense of security, making them less likely to see your true motives.
Can you give an example of this kind of subtle deception in action?
Let's talk about marketing. Have you ever noticed how a product is often presented as the solution to a problem you didn't even know you had? Suddenly you need this new gadget or service, even though you were perfectly content without it moments ago.
That's so true. It's like they create a need and then conveniently offer the solution.
Precisely. It's subtle, but it's a form of deception. They're manipulating your perception of reality to influence your choices.
Okay, that's a bit unsettling. Makes you wonder how often we're being subtly influenced without even realizing it. Are there other examples of this smokescreen tactic?
Think about negotiations. Let's say you're in a salary negotiation. You might downplay your eagerness for the job, even feigning disinterest
Oh,
to gain leverage.
right.
This makes the employer work harder to secure your talent, potentially leading to a better offer.
So it's about strategically concealing your true intentions to gain an advantage.
Exactly. It's about using those subtle cues and
Yeah.
signals to shape the other person's perception of the situation, ultimately steering them towards the outcome you desire.
That's fascinating. And a little bit scary, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see how understanding these subtle dynamics of power can be incredibly valuable in navigating all sorts of situations.
Absolutely. And remember, it's not about being manipulative or unethical. It's about being aware of these tactics so you can recognize them when they're
Yeah.
being used against you. And if you choose, utilize them strategically to achieve your own goals.
Okay. So we've talked about not outshining the master, the potential pitfalls of trusting friends, and the art of subtle deception. What other insights does the 48 Laws of Power have in store for us?
Let's move on to Law 4. Always say less than necessary.
Okay.
This is about the power of mystery and intrigue.
Ooh, okay. I'm intrigued already. Tell me more about this one.
Think about a time when someone was being deliberately vague
Yeah,
or evasive. Didn't it make you want to know more?
it definitely did.
Didn't it pique your curiosity?
Yeah. It's like when someone tells you they have juicy gossip but refuses to spill the details. You're practically begging them to tell you more.
Exactly.
Oh.
That's the power of saying less than necessary. It creates an air of mystery and intrigue, making you appear more interesting, more knowledgeable, and ultimately more powerful.
So it's about creating a sense of scarcity, like there's more beneath the surface than what's being revealed.
Precisely. And this applies to more than just gossip. Think about personal branding. Have you ever noticed how some people cultivate an online presence that's deliberately enigmatic or mysterious? They might share intriguing snippets of their work or life, but they never reveal too much.
That's true. It's like they're creating a brand built on curiosity.
Exactly. And this can be incredibly effective. By saying less, they leave room for imagination, making people want to know more and ultimately giving them more power in the exchange.
Okay. I'm starting to see how this applies to the bigger picture.
Yeah.
It's not about being secretive or withholding information. It's about strategically choosing what to reveal
Yeah.
and what to keep hidden, creating a sense of allure and fascination.
Precisely. Think about how you can apply this principle to your own life. Maybe you're in a negotiation, and instead of laying out all your cards at once, you hold back some information, creating a sense of intrigue, making the other party work harder to win you over.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're trying to build a following online,
Right.
and instead of sharing every detail of your life, you curate your content, creating a sense of mystery and making people want to know more.
So it's about being deliberate and strategic with the information you share, using silence and mystery to your advantage.
Exactly. And remember, sometimes the most powerful words are the ones left unspoken.
All right, on to Law 5. So much depends on reputation guarded with your life. This one seems pretty straightforward, but I'm sure there's more to it than meets the eye.
There is. It's about recognizing that your reputation is a form of power in itself. It precedes you, influences how others perceive you, and can open doors that would otherwise remain closed.
So it's like an invisible currency. You build it up over time, and it can be used to buy influence, trust, even opportunities.
Exactly. And just like any valuable asset, it needs to be carefully protected
Yeah.
and nurtured. A single misstep, a moment of carelessness, can damage a reputation that took years to build.
Okay, that makes sense. Any advice on how to actively guard our reputations?
It starts with self-awareness. You need to understand how you're perceived by others, what your strengths and weaknesses are, and what kind of image you're projecting. Are you known for your integrity, your competence, your reliability? Or are you seen as someone who's prone to gossip, drama, or unreliability?
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Sometimes we might be projecting an image that we don't even realize is damaging our reputation.
Exactly. So self-reflection is key. And once you have a clear understanding of your current reputation, you can start taking steps to actively shape and protect it.
What kind of steps are we talking about?
It can be as simple as being mindful of your online presence, what you post, what you share, how you interact with others online. It all contributes to your overall reputation. It's also about being intentional in your offline interactions, how you treat people,
Right.
how you handle conflict, how you follow through on commitments. These all play a role in shaping how others perceive you.
So it's about aligning your actions with the reputation you want to build.
Exactly. And remember, consistency is key. A single act of kindness won't erase a history of bad behavior. Just like one mistake won't necessarily destroy a solid reputation, it's about the long game, the cumulative effect of your actions over time.
Okay, so Law 5.
Yeah.
So much depends on reputation guarded with your life. It's not about being perfect or trying to please everyone. It's about being intentional and consistent in building a reputation that serves your goals and reflects your values.
Exactly. A strong reputation is a powerful asset
Yeah.
in the game of power, opening doors,
Mm.
creating opportunities, and giving you an edge in any situation.
That's Law 5. It seems like each law builds on the previous one, creating this framework for understanding and navigating the complexities of power dynamics. What's next on our deep dive?
Let's talk about Law 6, court attention at all costs.
Okay.
This one might seem a bit counterintuitive,
Yeah.
especially in a world where we're often told to blend in and not rock the boat.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this court attention idea.
Think about it this way. In a crowded room, who stands out? Who gets noticed? It's not the person who's quietly blending into the background.
That's true. It's the person who's confident, engaging, maybe even a bit flamboyant. They command attention, even if it's just by being their authentic selves.
Exactly. And in the realm of power, visibility is essential. You can't wield power if no one knows you exist. You can't influence others if you're invisible.
So it's about making yourself known, putting yourself out there, creating a presence that can't be ignored.
Precisely. And this doesn't mean you need to be loud or obnoxious or attention-grabbing in a negative way. It's about finding ways to stand out from the crowd, whether through your work, your ideas, your unique perspective, or even your personal style.
Okay. But isn't there a risk of attracting negative attention? I mean, not all attention is good attention, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
And this is where the at all costs part comes in. It's not about seeking attention for its own sake. It's about being strategic and discerning. It's about understanding your audience, knowing what kind of attention you want to attract,
Right.
and crafting your actions and image accordingly.
So it's about being intentional and deliberate. with the attention you seek.
Exactly. Think about someone like Steve Jobs. He was a master
Oh,
of
yeah.
courting attention. His product launches were legendary,
Yeah.
carefully orchestrated events that generated massive hype and media coverage.
Right. He understood the power of creating a spectacle, of turning a product launch into an event that people would talk about for weeks.
Exactly. And he wasn't just doing it for the show. He understood that attention translates into influence, market share, and ultimately power.
Okay, so Law 6 is about recognizing that in the game of power, you need to make yourself visible. It's not about being egotistical or attention-seeking. It's about strategically courting the right kind of attention to advance your goals and increase your influence.
Precisely. And remember, attention, like power, is a currency. The more you have, the more you can leverage it
Yes.
to achieve your objectives.
Okay, that's Law 6. We've covered a lot of ground in our exploration of the 48 laws of power, from understanding the importance of reputation to the power of subtle deception. What other insights does Greene offer as we delve deeper into the dynamics of power?
Let's talk about Law 7. Get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit. This one might sound a bit Machiavellian, but it's a fascinating observation about how power often operates.
Okay, I'm definitely interested to hear more about this one. Tell me, how does this getting others to do the work idea actually play out in the real world?
Think about delegation.
Okay.
Effective leaders delegate tasks to their team members, leveraging the skills and expertise of others to achieve common goals. That's a good thing, right?
Absolutely. Delegation is essential for any leader. It's impossible to do everything yourself, and a good leader knows how to empower their team and utilize their talents.
But what happens when someone takes this delegation a step further?
Okay.
Not just assigning tasks, but actively seeking out the best ideas, the most innovative solutions from their team, and then presenting those ideas as their own.
Okay, that's where things get a bit tricky, ethically speaking. It seems like there's a fine line between effective delegation and taking undue credit for the work of others.
There is. And this is where understanding the nuances of power dynamics comes in. Greene isn't advocating for plagiarism or exploitation. He's highlighting a pattern that's often seen in the halls of power. The ability to leverage the talents of others while still maintaining control of the narrative, and ultimately taking credit for the collective success.
Can you give us an example of this playing out in history?
Think about some of the great patrons of the arts, like the Medici family in Renaissance Italy.
Okay, yes.
They didn't create the masterpieces themselves, but they funded and supported the artists
Right.
who did, ultimately taking credit for fostering a golden age of creativity.
That's a great example. The Medici family is remembered for their patronage, for creating an environment where artistic genius could flourish, even though they weren't the artists themselves.
Exactly. And while we might debate the ethical implications of this dynamic,
Right.
there's no denying that it's a recurring pattern throughout history, the ability to leverage the talents of others while still maintaining control of the narrative and ultimately taking credit for the collective success.
So it's about recognizing that power isn't always about doing the work yourself.
Yeah.
It's often about being the architect, the visionary, the one who assembles the team,
Yes.
sets the direction, and ultimately takes credit for the collective achievement.
Precisely. And this doesn't mean you should take credit for work you didn't do. It's about understanding how to leverage the talents of others, how to inspire and motivate them to do their best work,
Right.
and how to position yourself as the leader who brought it all together.
Okay. I'm starting to see how this law can be interpreted in a more nuanced way. It's not about being a dictator or a control freak.
No.
It's about being a strategic leader, recognizing the value of collaboration, and understanding how to position yourself as the driving force behind collective success.
Exactly. And remember, effective delegation isn't just about assigning tasks. It's about creating an environment where people feel empowered, valued, and motivated to contribute their best work.
Okay, that's Law 7. It's a reminder that power isn't always about individual achievement.
Yeah.
It's often about the ability to inspire, motivate, and leverage the talents of others to achieve common goals. What's next on our deep dive?
Law 8. Make other people come to you. Use bait, if necessary. This is about understanding the power of attraction and making yourself the desired target.
Okay, I'm already feeling a little manipulated, but I'm also curious. How does this bait idea work in the real world?
Think about the job market. Let's say you're a highly sought-after candidate. with a unique skill set.
Okay.
Do you spend your time chasing after every job opening? Or do you make yourself so desirable that companies come after you?
That's a great analogy. In that scenario, your skills and experience are the bait. You're
Yes.
not actively pursuing opportunities.
Yeah.
You're making yourself so attractive that opportunities come to you.
Exactly. And this principle applies to more than just job hunting. Think about building a following online. Do you spend all your time trying to get people to notice you? Or do you create content so valuable, so engaging, so irresistible that people are naturally drawn to you?
So it's about creating a pull, a magnetic force, rather than pushing your way into the spotlight.
Precisely. It's about understanding what people want, what they need, what they crave, and then positioning yourself as the solution, the answer to their desires.
Okay, that makes sense. But how do we actually do that? How do we create that kind of magnetic pull?
It starts with self-awareness. You need to understand your own strengths, your unique talents, what you bring to the table that others don't. What are your superpowers? What makes you stand out from the crowd?
So it's about identifying our own bait, the unique value we offer that makes us irresistible.
Exactly. Once you know what your bait is, you can start strategically positioning yourself, showcasing your talents, and creating opportunities for people to discover you.
It's like that saying, build it and they will come.
Yes.
But in this case, it's be amazing and they will find you.
Precisely. And this applies to more than just individual success.
Yeah.
Think about businesses, organizations, even social movements. The most successful ones are often those that create a strong sense of purpose.
A compelling vision, a bait that draws people in
Okay.
and makes them want to be part of something bigger
Yeah.
than themselves.
Okay, so Law 8 is about understanding the power of attraction, of making yourself the desired target. It's not about manipulation or trickery. It's about being strategic, knowing your worth, and positioning yourself in a way that draws people to you.
Exactly. And remember, the most effective bait is authentic and genuine.
Right.
It's about being true to yourself, showcasing your unique talents and passions,
Yeah.
and letting your authentic self shine.
Okay, that's Law 8. It's a reminder that power isn't always about force or aggression. It's often about creating a pull, a magnetic force that draws people to you and makes them want to be part of your world. What's next on our deep dive?
Let's move on to Law 9. Win through your actions, never through argument. This one is all about the power of demonstration, proving your worth through what you do, not what you say.
Okay, I like this one already. Actions speak louder than words. Exactly. The 48 Laws of Power suggest that arguing, especially when it comes to power dynamics, is often a losing battle. It can create resentment, make you appear defensive, and ultimately weaken your position.
So it's about letting your actions speak for themselves?
Precisely. It's about showcasing your competence, your skills, your ability to get things done through tangible results.
Okay, that makes sense. But how do we actually do that? How do we win through our actions in a way that's both effective and, well, not annoyingly boastful?
It starts with understanding your goals and what you need to accomplish to achieve them.
Okay.
Then it's about focusing your energy on taking action, on delivering results, on proving your worth through your deeds, not your words.
So it's about being a doer, not a talker.
Exactly. And it's not about being silent or passive. It's about choosing your battles wisely
Okay.
and understanding that sometimes the most powerful way to make a point is through decisive action.
Can you give us an example of this playing out in history?
Think about someone like Amelia Earhart. She didn't spend her time arguing about whether women could be pilots. She simply went out and did it, breaking records, pushing boundaries, and ultimately proving her point through her actions.
That's a great example.
Yeah.
She didn't need to engage in debates or arguments. Her actions spoke for themselves, inspiring others and changing the course of history.
Exactly. And this principle applies to more than just grand achievements. Think about everyday interactions. Let's say you're in a workplace where someone is constantly undermining you or questioning your abilities.
Right.
Do you waste your time arguing with them?
Yeah.
Or do you focus on delivering exceptional results,
Oh, I see.
proving your worth through your work?
So it's about choosing our battles wisely and recognizing that sometimes the most effective way to win an argument is to not engage in it at all.
Precisely.
Right.
It's about recognizing that actions often speak louder than words, especially when it comes to power dynamics.
Okay, that's Law 9. It's a reminder that power is often earned through action, not argument. It's about proving your worth through your deeds, not your words. What's next on our deep dive?
Law 10. Infection. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky. This one might seem a bit harsh,
Okay.
but it's an important observation. about the power of association and how negativity can be contagious.
Okay, this one sounds a little like guilty by association, but I'm open to hearing more. How does this infection idea work in the real world?
Think about your own social circles. Have you ever noticed how spending time with negative people can drain your energy,
Yeah.
make you feel pessimistic, even affect your own outlook on life?
It's so true. It's like their negativity rubs off on you. You start to see the world through their lens, and it can be a real downer.
Exactly. And in the realm of power, this principle is amplified. Those who are perceived as unlucky, unhappy, or constantly surrounded by drama tend to repel opportunities and
Yep.
attract further misfortune.
So it's about being mindful of the people we surround ourselves with. Like their energy can actually impact our own success.
Precisely. And this isn't about judging people or abandoning those who are going through tough times.
Right.
It's about being strategic in our associations, recognizing that negativity can be contagious, and protecting ourselves from being dragged down
Yeah.
by those who are perpetually unhappy or unlucky.
Okay, but how do we actually do that? I mean, sometimes it's hard to avoid negative people, especially in a workplace or family setting.
It starts with self-awareness.
Yeah.
Pay attention to how you feel after spending time with certain people. Do you feel energized, inspired, and uplifted?
Yeah.
Or do you feel drained, discouraged, and pessimistic?
That's a great point. It's
Mm.
about tuning into our own energy and noticing how it's affected by the people we spend time with.
Exactly. And once you become aware of those who drain your energy
Yeah.
or bring you down, you can start to limit your exposure to them, strategically choosing to spend more time with those who uplift you, support your goals, and inspire you to be your best self.
So it's about being intentional with our social interactions, recognizing that the people we surround ourselves with can have a significant impact on our own energy, outlook, and ultimately our success.
Precisely. And remember, this isn't about being heartless or judgmental. It's about being strategic in our associations, recognizing that negativity can be contagious, and protecting ourselves from being dragged down by those who are perpetually unhappy or unlucky.
Okay, so Law 10, infection. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky. It's a reminder to be mindful of the company we keep,
Yeah.
to surround ourselves with those who uplift and inspire us, and to protect our own energy and outlook from those who might bring us down.
Exactly. It's all about, creating a positive and supportive environment for
Right.
yourself, one that fosters growth and success.
Okay, that's Law 10. It's a reminder to be mindful of the company we keep, to surround ourselves with those who uplift and inspire us, and to protect our own energy and outlook from those who might bring us down. Ready to move on to the next law?
Absolutely. Let's dive into Law 11. Learn to keep people dependent on you. This one's all about cultivating indispensability, making yourself so valuable that others can't imagine functioning without you.
Okay, this one sounds a little bit like job security on steroids. Tell me more about this idea of keeping people dependent.
Think about the most valuable people in your life, professionally or personally, what makes them so indispensable. It's not just their skills or talent, it's their ability to solve problems, to provide support, to fill a need that no one else can.
That's a great point. It's like they have a unique superpower that makes them essential to the team, the organization, or even the family unit.
Exactly. And in the realm of power, this principle is key. The more indispensable you are, the more power you wield. Think about a skilled negotiator, a brilliant strategist, or even a charismatic leader. They possess qualities that make them invaluable to those around them.
So it's not about manipulating people or making them feel weak. It's about cultivating skills, knowledge, or even just a personality that makes you uniquely valuable.
Precisely, it's about becoming the go-to person, the problem solver, the one everyone relies on. Think about a tech expert who can fix any computer glitch, a financial advisor who can navigate complex investments, or even a friend who always knows how to make you laugh when you're down. They've made themselves indispensable through their actions, their knowledge, or their personality.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
It's not about creating a codependent relationship. It's about building genuine value and making yourself an asset that others appreciate and rely on.
Exactly. And this principle applies to more than just individuals. Think about successful companies. They create products or services that people can't live without. They build brands that evoke loyalty and trust. They make themselves indispensable to their customers.
So it's about finding your niche, your area of expertise, and becoming the best at what you do.
Precisely. It's about creating value, solving problems, and filling a need that no one else can be.
Okay, I like this one. Law 11. Learn to keep people dependent on you. It's not about being manipulative or creating a sense of obligation. It's about cultivating genuine value, making yourself indispensable and becoming an asset that others appreciate and rely on. What's next on our deep dive?
Let's move on to Law 12. Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. This one might seem a bit counterintuitive, especially given our previous discussions about deception and power plays.
I'm definitely intrigued. How does honesty and generosity fit into the world of power dynamics? It seems like those qualities could be exploited or perceived as weaknesses.
It's all about strategic application. Think about it this way. If someone is constantly guarded, suspicious, expecting the worst, how do you break through their defenses?
You catch them off guard, right? You do something unexpected, something that challenges their assumptions about you.
Exactly, and that's where selective honesty and generosity come in by offering a genuine act of kindness, a moment of vulnerability, or even just a straightforward truth. You can disarm someone, making them more receptive to your influence.
So it's like a Trojan horse tactic. You use honesty and generosity as a way to gain access to someone's trust, and then once you're in, you can start to exert your influence.
It can be used that way, but it's not necessarily about manipulation. It's about recognizing that people are often drawn to authenticity and genuine connection. By offering these qualities, you create a sense of trust and rapport, making it more likely that people will be open to your ideas and suggestions.
Can you give us an example of this playing out in the real world?
Think about negotiations. Let's say you're in a tense standoff with someone, each side vying for the upper hand. Instead of digging in your heels and refusing to budge, you make a concession, a gesture of good faith, or even just an honest admission of your own limitations.
So it's about using honesty and generosity as a way to de-escalate a situation, to create a more collaborative atmosphere.
Exactly. By showing vulnerability and a willingness to compromise, you can shift the dynamics of the interaction, making it more likely that the other party will reciprocate and be open to finding a mutually beneficial solution.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. It's about using these qualities strategically to build trust, foster connection, and ultimately influence the outcome of a situation.
Precisely. And remember, it's not about being a pushover or giving away your power. It's about using selective honesty and generosity as tools to disarm your opponent, making them more receptive to your ideas and ultimately more likely to cooperate with you.
Okay, that's Law 12. It's a reminder that power isn't always about force or aggression. Sometimes the most effective approach is to disarm your opponent with genuine kindness, honesty, and a willingness to compromise. What's next on our deep dive?
Let's talk about Law 13. When asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest, never to their mercy or gratitude. This one is all about understanding what motivates people and how to frame your requests in a way that resonates with their own needs and desires.
Okay, I'm sensing a theme here.
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of these laws are about understanding human psychology and using that knowledge strategically. Tell me more about this idea of appealing to self-interest.
Think about it this way. When someone asks you for a favor, what makes you more likely to say yes? Is it because you feel sorry for them or because you see how helping them will also benefit you?
It's definitely more appealing when there's something in it for me, even if it's just a sense of satisfaction or the knowledge that I'm helping someone achieve their goals.
Exactly. And in the realm of power, this principle is key. When you need something from someone, appealing to their mercy or gratitude is often ineffective. It puts them in a position of power, making them feel like they're doing you a favor.
So instead of making it about our needs, we should frame it in a way that highlights how helping us will also benefit them.
Precisely, it's about finding the win-win scenario, the point of alignment where your needs and their self-interest intersect.
Can you give us an example of this playing out in the real world?
Think about fundraising. A successful fundraiser doesn't just ask for money. They paint a picture of how the donation will make a difference, how it will help achieve a shared goal, how it will benefit the donor in some way, whether it's through recognition, tax benefits, or even just the satisfaction of contributing to a worthy cause.
That's a great example. It's not about begging for money. It's about creating a compelling case for why supporting the cause is in the donor's best interest.
Exactly, and this principle applies to more than just fundraising. Think about negotiating a business deal, asking for a promotion, or even just persuading a friend to help you move. The more you can align your request with the other person's self-interest, the more likely they are to say yes.
Okay, so Law 13 is about understanding that people are inherently motivated by their own needs and desires when asking for help. Frame your request in a way that highlights the mutual benefit, the win-win scenario, rather than appealing to their mercy or gratitude.
Precisely, and remember, it's not about manipulation or trickery. It's about finding the point of alignment, the shared interest that will motivate both parties to cooperate and achieve a common goal.
So we've learned about making ourselves indispensable, using selective honesty, and appealing to people's self-interest as we wrap up our deep dive into Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power. What final thoughts or insights would you like to leave our listeners with?
Well, I think the most important takeaway from the 48 Laws of Power is that it's a framework for understanding the dynamics of power, not a set of rules to be followed blindly. These laws are observations about human behavior, about the ways in which power is gained, lost, and wielded. By understanding these dynamics, we can become more effective in our interactions, more strategic in our decisions, and ultimately more successful in achieving our goals. But it's crucial to remember that power is a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or for evil. The choice is ours.
That's a great point. The 48 Laws of Power can be a powerful tool for self-awareness and strategic thinking, but it's up to each individual to decide how they want to use that knowledge. And here's one last thought for our listeners to consider. Do you think these laws are universal, applicable across cultures and time periods? Or are the dynamics of power evolving in the modern world? We'd love to hear your thoughts. This concludes our deep dive into the 48 Laws of Power. We hope you found it insightful and thought-provoking.